August, the theme is inventory. And I know that kind of sounds a bit boring. When I was writing it down, the topic, I was thinking, okay, that's really boring. But actually, I don't know whether some of you have been hit with this kind of deepening understanding. Now we're in it a little bit more medium term. So the first couple of months, we were facing all of this shift, all of this lockdown. And for many of us, we're like, okay, just be a couple of months. And then we were even planning, right? We were planning, maybe we can go traveling in August. Maybe we can do stuff in September. Maybe all this stuff will get back to normal. And now we're in August. And if anything, there seems to be this second wave brewing in certain countries. So we're now at this point where we're realizing, I think, that this is really a medium to long-term thing. I think we're definitely in this now until the end of the year, and it may even spill into 2021, which is kind of shocking in some senses. But at the same time, it's what we've been talking about. So right at the beginning of all this, we were talking about this kind of split in the timeline. And I want to talk a little bit more about that today. And I want to talk a little bit more about what this inventory is giving us an opportunity to do. Essentially, this whole process of 2020 is around coming into a different way. Like Eckhart Tolle talks about the new earth, and I've been referring to it as using his terminology in terms of the opportunity for us to break away from the old paradigms. A lot of the old structures, the very patriarchal structures, the very rigid belief systems are way too old. I mean, we've outgrown them. And as we start to continue to evolve, these structures have to break down. Now, I don't think anybody predicted COVID or predicted this as a way of being, but we've been talking about 2020 for a long time in terms of the cosmic or evolutionary consciousness and the shift of consciousness that's been happening. And now here we are. So this so-called split in timeline that we're referring to is this idea that there's the old paradigm. So lots of people are here. The majority of people are still in the old paradigm, and they are waiting for things to get back to normal. So they're waiting, they're at home, they're doing their best, they're pretending nothing is different. And they will, when this eventually all kind of blows over, is they will try and go back to their old lives. Then there's the new kind of offshoot, the new timeline, which is an opportunity for us to grow through this into something new. And there are lots and lots of people doing this as well. There are lots of industries doing this. I mean, look at Zoom. Zoom is just like increased tenfold overnight. So there are certain industries, there are certain people, and there are certain communities that are really growing and evolving and flourishing throughout this whole time. And then there's the majority of people who are just sitting tight. Now, you might find yourself in both, right? I think many of us do. We have an eye on the old, and we also have an eye on the new. So we're doing some things. We're looking at certain aspects of what we enjoy, what we don't enjoy, what we want to let go of. Like we were talking in our Friday meeting about, a lot of people are decluttering. Brilliant. So there might be a decluttering that's happening. Some of you might be taking the opportunity to change jobs or change houses and all this kind of thing. Little things. But the paradigm shift, I mean, the real shift in this timeline is it is doing this. So the separation at the moment, it's just started. This is a 10-year thing. Okay. So this isn't just 2 months. We've been in it 4 months. So it's starting to do this a little bit. And it's going to keep doing this. So in 10 years' time, when we're sitting having this conversation, the majority of people that are still on that old timeline are going to have to move. So that movement is going to be quite painful the longer you leave it, because there's a bigger gap. So our job is to try and stay with this new timeline as best we can, because this new timeline is going to gather momentum. Now, what that new timeline is this whole evolutionary process of coming into our own individual power. Now, I've been harping, those of you who know me, I've been harping on about this for the last 10 years. But essentially, personal power is about not following the structures just because the structures are there. And that's a really important difference. The opportunity now is to see what it is in our own lives. This is coming into the inventory part. What is in our own lives that is really working in terms of our deep inner values? Now, those deep inner values are essentially things like truth or love, creativity, authenticity, like really core things, freedom. And we will have different, because of our personalities, we will have different kind of movements towards it. Like for some people, they'll be very attracted to, say, freedom. And then for other people, it won't be that attractive. They'll be much more attracted to creativity or to love or to peace or something like this, right? So this whole idea of inventory is when you've been in this quieter space because of lockdown, because of the inability to go out and really meet people and things like that, what have you really, really missed? Like maybe community is a really big thing for you, or family, certain relationships. And what have you actually not missed at all, right? And then thought, actually, I don't like doing that, even though you were doing that before because you felt that you should do that. So the whole idea of inventory is to really come into a deeper understanding of actually not what should I be doing or shouldn't I be doing, but what do I want to do? What is it that's really calling me? If I really missed something, what does that mean about my base kind of deep yearnings or my deep truth about who I am? And so this whole idea of inventory is to really kind of start taking note, because we are in this for the long term. And so this movement that we're starting to see, this is just the beginning, right? If as this continues to move forwards, by the end of the year, there are going to be very clear signs of the industries that are really doing well and the industries that are really struggling. And now is the time to start thinking about where's my direction for the next 5 to 10 years. And that's not to have it really clear in your mind, but let's assume things really do start to churn up. And maybe they don't, who knows? Maybe I'm just, talking rubbish. But if they are, then us being steady in terms of what it is we want to see more of in our life is going to hold us in very good stead for actually looking at the opportunities. So breaking away from these old paradigms with a very fresh view. Now, I'm talking from a Reiki perspective because that's what I love to do. But even that, like our traditional way of doing things is starting to be churned up, right? The most traditional thing is the face-to-face workshop, which we clearly can't do right now. And so old timeline, you sit and wait, right? You just sit and wait and you sit and wait and you sit and wait. And maybe you can do it next month and maybe you can do it next year and who knows. Or you start looking at, okay, I love to teach Reiki. What is the core value? Like, why do I want to teach it? Is it just so that I can do a face-to-face workshop on a weekend? Or is it to actually be part of someone else's journey? Or is it to actually pass on some self-empowerment tools? Or what? What is it around your own personal Reiki journey? Or if you're not a Reiki teacher or someone that does Reiki healing, whatever it is in your industry, why do you do that? And then from that perspective, you open yourself up to a much broader creative aspect. Yeah. So this whole idea of doing the inventory is so that you know what's important to you to keep. And get rid of all of the belief structures around how it needs to look. The how is old. We are looking forwards and we're going to build new structures. And I can't emphasize this enough. There are going to be very different structures that start to rise up from all of this. And those who are open to it are the ones that are going to see it. If you're so busy sitting there waiting for things to get back to normal, you're going to miss it. And so this movement, and not only are you going to miss it, you're going to resist it. So when the new stuff starts coming in, you're going to be like, no, 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 no. And that's fine. You can do that, but it's a lot of strain. It's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of kind of anxiety that builds up in the system. So my tip or advice is to this month start looking at what are the values that are really important to you, right down to the basics. Why are you doing these things? Why are you passionate about doing the work you do? And then from there, opening yourself to the new possibilities. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm deep in my Reiki thing, doing my self-treatment or my meditation or whatever it is, it almost feels like there's this limitless possibility that is being opened up in front of us. And that's not about knowing the how at all. You can't know the how right now because we're not in the how bit yet. All you can do is you choose, right? Am I open to the possibilities and opportunities or not? That's the only question. Which timeline am I on? Am I in the wait and see, or am I in the let's go and see what's there? So that's the thought. These are the thoughts for this month. I'm going to stop blah, blah, blahing, and I'm going to invite you guys to get comfortable for the attunement. You're going to bring your hands into prayer pose in front of your heart center. And you're just going to take a few moments, take a few deep breaths. And just visualize. Normally, I like to advise that you visualize a lotus, right, sitting on the top of your head. You're just going to allow that flower to open. And as it opens, it invites the Reiki energy down in through the center of your head, the crown. And then as you invite the Reiki in, it comes down deep into your heart center. You might even notice the fingers and the hands are starting to buzz or tingle. You might notice heat coming out of your palms. But if you don't notice anything, don't worry. And then for those of you who are sending healing to everybody here, just going to start using the symbols, just connecting yourself to everybody in this group. I often just stick the symbols into the computer, over everybody's names if you can see them. Or I just invite the Reiki to go to every single person in this Reiki Reiju, and also for anybody else listening to the recording afterwards. And then you can place your hands, one over the heart center and one down under the belly button, on the belly, somewhere deep in the sacral. This is a very balancing position in Reiki, connecting with the heart and the creative center. Just taking a few breaths here. I'm going to start off just by relaxing the entire body. So once again, bringing your focus up to the top of the head and actively relaxing the face. Sometimes it's easy to scrunch up the face in order to relax it, but perhaps just by bringing your attention there, you will invite a relaxation to come down through the face. And then bringing it down into the shoulders, relaxing the arms, the elbows, the forearms, the hands themselves. As you bring your attention to your hands, you might notice the Reiki. Sometimes it appears as tingling or heat, sometimes a pulsing or vibration. And then relaxing down into the chest, all the way down into the belly. Relaxing the back, down into the pelvis, the legs, the knees, down into the calves, and finally the feet. And as you relax here, just bringing your hands, your awareness to your hands. And if you don't feel any sensations, I'd just like you to imagine them coming down into your body through the hands and into the area just below. You might feel it as a certain pressure or a tingle, a kind of sensation. And if you don't feel anything, just invite an imagination in. You might imagine there's a light, whatever the color seems resonant. Or you might imagine like a ray of Reiki coming in through the palms, into your body, infusing you with a certain light or lightness. And then focusing on the chest area where your hand is over the heart center. I'd like you to take that sensation or feeling or light and expand it all the way through your chest, making it go deeper, wider, until it reaches up into your head and down into the belly. And then doing the same thing with your hand over the belly, just visualizing the Reiki coming in through those palms, into the belly, and up into the chest, the head, and down into the legs, into the feet. And just using the breath to distribute the Reiki throughout your entire body. Looking for any areas of resistance or tension, just very gently breathing into it, inviting Reiki into these areas too. And then expanding out into the aura. You can use color, you can use vibration, sensation, white light, golden light. Whatever feels right for you. Just infusing your aura all the way out to about 3 to 5 feet. Just filling yourself up. And inviting in a sense of peace and love, well-being, a calm steadiness. And I'm going to invite you now to experience this new timeline that we've been talking about. I'd like you to imagine in front of you 2 pathways. There's one moving forwards and slightly upwards, which is the new timeline. And as you observe it, I'd just like you to see what it feels like for you. Just getting a sense whether it feels like an opportunity, but also notice if there's any anxiety or fear. It's perfectly normal. But it's just for you to know. It's giving you a sense of your own readiness, but there's no rush. Without forcing yourself at all, you're just standing there and getting a sense. It might come to you as a path with a certain vibration or color. It might even have like a woodland feeling, perhaps something more spacious. Maybe something a bit more sci-fi, up into the heavens. And then the second pathway is more familiar. It's well trodden. There are many people on it. And you might notice a certain yearning or comfort. Or you might notice that it doesn't feel particularly attractive. Or it may be very attractive. This old timeline represents the past, the old structures. everything that you've been familiar with up to now. So just observing your feelings towards that, how it appears, with no judgment. And as you stand there, you may feel an urge to stay standing exactly as you are. You may have a feeling to go along the old timeline or to choose the new one. And either of these three options is perfectly fine. It's just information for you, where you are in this moment. And whichever option you choose, you can explore it a little bit further. If you choose to walk down one of the pathways, then you can do so. And just get a feeling for how it feels in your body. You might notice a certain lightness or familiarity. If you're down or up, should I say, along the new timeline, you might notice a certain lightness. But you may also notice that it is ill-defined, spacious. You might notice that there is yet anything written on it. It may be an empty blank canvas. Or perhaps you do see things there. If you have chosen to walk down the old timeline, you might notice a sense of familiarity, of comfort with that. But you may also notice feelings in your body of restriction, smallness, control. Or perhaps not. If you have chosen the old timeline or to stay still, I invite you just to take a step into the new. You don't have to go far, but simply become more accustomed to the sensation. Just daring to take a step and just keep going along it until it no longer feels comfortable, and then stop. And just noticing wherever you've stopped, or if you're still walking, that there are in fact many other beings traveling this path line too. This is also familiar, but in a different way. It is more spacious, more unconditional. Less restrictive and controlling. You might notice in your heart center that there is an expansion. A lightness of being. So just noticing for yourself all the different experiences, sensations, or feelings. And then very gently bringing yourself back into the boundaries of your own body. Observing your breathing once more. Observing your hands and any sensations you may feel through the Reiki. Asking for integration of this new timeline, for ease and grace for your journey forwards. And with a very settling feeling, we're going to just allow the Reiki to settle from the top of our head. Just bringing your attention up to the top again, the crown. And just imagining that lotus to very gently close slightly. And then bringing your focus and attention into the head itself, the back, the front, the face. Starting to come into the boundaries again of your own body. Into the shoulders, down the arms. And down the back, fluttering your wings. And the front, the chest, into the belly. Bringing your awareness down into the legs, all the way down into the feet. And then from the feet, as if you're growing roots, just allow those roots to come all the way down through the floor. If you're not on the ground floor, then allow those roots to go all the way through down until it hits the ground. anchoring you deeply into Mother Earth. Feeling very connected. She too is going on this journey with us, evolving. It is a very natural unfolding process. And then taking a few very deep breaths so that you can really feel your movement in your chest, starting to maybe wiggle your back, stretch it up, wiggling your fingers, raising them above your head, and giving yourself a little shake. All the way down through your back, wiggling the bottom on the seat. And whenever you're ready, joining us once again. How was that, people? So if you have any feedback, would like to share, feel free to unmute yourself or stick something in the chat. Which timeline did you go on? Or did you stand in the middle going, What did you guys do?
I went on the new one.
She went on the new one, of course she did. Reiki Master Teacher.
It was very, very nice. And I looked at the other one and I was afraid.
Yeah, I was lying down the new one as well. Susan kept holding my breath. You know what? It's good to notice, isn't it, though? This is why it's quite like how it can feel scary because it's new. I mean, like for me, what I saw was just a lot of white, but like there was just not really anything there. So it was a bit, Artie, letting go of the old one was easy. I know, I didn't want to go down there. It was so dark. I was like, oh. So yeah, that's interesting. Did anyone go down the old one willingly? It's okay to admit it, by the way, because it's perfectly fine. We are all at different points of where we need to be as well. And I think that for some of us, the old one is still very relevant, right? We're very excited for the new one. Looks so shiny. Don't know about you guys, it looks so shiny and so airy. Yeah, so we're ready. You think we're ready?